told you that the key to totally transforming your life wasn't some huge, heroic effort? What if it was actually a series of changes so small you'd barely even notice them? Well, today, we're diving into James Clear's Atomic Habits to unpack the amazing framework he built for getting remarkable results all through tiny, everyday actions.
The entire journey, the whole idea behind the book, it really starts right here, with this one single devastating moment. A classmate took a full swing, the bat slipped, and it hit James Clear square between the eyes. It was an injury so severe, it would completely change the entire course of his life.
I mean, the impact was brutal. It crushed his nose, caused multiple skull fractures, and shattered both of his eye sockets. He lost consciousness, had seizures, and at one point he stopped breathing entirely. This wasn't just a setback, you know? This was a near-death experience that forced him to rebuild his life literally from the ground up.
And that recovery? It was anything but fast. It was a slow, grueling process. He spent months in physical therapy just practicing basic things like walking in a straight line. A full year later, he was cut from the varsity baseball team, which, for a kid whose life revolved around the sport, was just a totally humiliating moment.
But this incredibly painful period ended up being a turning point. At Denison University, away from all the chaos of his high school years, he decided to stop focusing on these huge, grand ambitions. Instead, he just wanted to regain a sense of control. So he started with these small, almost trivial habits, keeping his room tidy, building good sleep habits, and hitting the weights a few times a week.
And this is where he stumbled upon the core idea that would become the foundation for all of his work: the incredible, compounding power of making tiny 1% improvements. He found out there's this surprising mathematical truth behind getting just a little bit better every single day.
Now, think about it. Improving by just 1% doesn't feel like a big deal, right? It's not even noticeable. If you go to the gym for one day, you're still out of shape. If you save a little bit of money today, you're still not a millionaire. We tend to just dismiss these small changes because they don't seem to matter in the moment. But this is where the magic of compounding kicks in. That 1% improvement, if you do it every day for a year, doesn't just make you a little better. The math shows you end up 37 times better than when you started. And on the flip side, getting 1% worse each day, well, that brings you nearly all the way down to zero.
And this quote just nails the concept perfectly. Just like money multiplies with compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. It's those small, daily deposits or withdrawals that really determine your long-term results.
And hey, this isn't just theory. Just look at the British cycling team. They went from being kind of mediocre to just total domination by focusing on what they called the aggregation of marginal gains. They looked for 1% improvements in everything. Some were obvious, like redesigning the bike seats, but others were totally unexpected, like hiring a surgeon to teach the riders how to wash their hands properly to avoid colds, or even painting the inside of the team truck white so they could spot dust that might affect the finely tuned bikes. The results? Absolutely astounding. So that relentless focus on improving all the little things leads us right into one of the book's most powerful and honestly most counterintuitive ideas. It completely turns the conventional wisdom about goal setting on its head. I mean, think about it for a second. Every single athlete at the Olympics wants to win a gold medal. Every person applying for a job wants to get the job. So if winners and losers have the exact same goals, the goal itself can't be what makes the difference. So what does? The difference is the system. Goals are about the result you want, which is great for setting a direction. But systems? Systems are about the process that gets you to those results. If you were to completely ignore your goal and focus only on your system, on how you practice each day, you'd still get results. It's like the legendary coach Bill Walsh said, the score takes care of itself. Okay, so if building a better system is the secret, how do you actually do it? Well, Clear breaks it all down into a super simple, practical framework he calls the 4 laws of behavior change. This is basically the operating manual. And here it is. It's a beautifully simple set of rules. To create a good habit, you make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. And why does this work? Because our brains are literally built for this. We act on what we see, that's obvious. We're motivated by what we want, attractive. We always take the path of least resistance, easy. And we repeat whatever feels good, satisfying. And if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip it. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. It's just a powerful toolkit for re-engineering your own behavior. But this whole framework, it's not just about productivity hacks or little life hacks. The deepest insight in this entire book connects our habits to something way more fundamental: our identity. See, most of us, when we try to change, we start with what Clear calls outcome-based habits. We focus on what we want to get, But the alternative, identity-based habits, is so much more powerful. With this approach, you focus on who you wish to become. This tiny shift changes everything. The focus is no longer on the destination, it's on the person who's making the journey.
And this right here is the key. This quote just says it all. True, lasting behavior change isn't about the outcome. It's about a change in your identity. You don't just read a book, you become a reader. You don't just learn an instrument, you become a musician. The habits are simply how you embody that new identity.
And ultimately, that's what this all comes down to. Building better habits isn't really about having something, it's about becoming someone. Every tiny action you take, every small habit you do, it's like a vote you're casting for the type of person you want to become. So the only real question left is, who are you voting for today?